Colin Moody, firstly, congratulations on your recent marathon. Can you tell us a little bit about the marathon time, etc.?
Well, it was a V70 record for Harlow Running Club. 4 hours and, unfortunately, 13 seconds. When I was aiming for under 4 hours.
So firstly, congratulations. B, that's a record. That record has stood for a long time, hasn't it?
The previous one had stood since the year 2000. Yeah, so it was just about 21 years. Yeah. But
probably knowing your nature, that 13 seconds. Are you thinking?
Yes. Yes.
But we don't mind me saying, you're a fantastic role model for running. So can you take us back a bit firstly? And so why did you take up running, and when and why did you take it up?
Well, I started in 1983. I'd played football for a few years, or hadn't played football for a few years before that, and I felt I was getting a bit unfit. And one of the local newspapers wanted to raise money for the Princess Alexandra Hospital maternity unit for some equipment they needed. And it was about a 4.5 mile race, and I thought, I can probably do that. So I did a bit of training and an old pair of trainers, not running shoes, and I ran the race, and that was that. And then the following year I thought, well, I always had in the back of my mind I wanted to run a marathon, and of course at that time there was still the Harlow Marathon, which ran from Harlow Sports Centre, which was about a mile from home. So I thought, well, I really haven't got an excuse, have I? So I actually bought a pair of running shoes, got some advice from John Williams, who ran a sports shop in the town which specialised in running at that time, and trained for about 5 months, and then ran the Harlow Marathon. And unfortunately, I thought I'd only run one marathon, but I got hooked.
So may I ask, all those years ago, what was your time then?
That was about 3 hours 24.
Excellent.
The first one.
That's one, excellent. And as you said, that's a tricky course. I've got to remember, that's a tricky course, the Harlow Marathon, wasn't it? Unigate?
Yes, it took me out into parts of Matching Way that I don't think I'd ever been before. So it was a voyage of discovery in more ways than one.
So, and why do you think you got hooked? Why do you think you've kept going all these years?
I've no idea why I got hooked. I just liked it. It was a feeling of keeping fit. I mean, after a time, the actual fact of going out running was a relaxant. Got rid of anything, aggravation from work, and also, actually, I used to have ideas, about how to solve problems that were occurring to me while I was out running. So it became a way of sort of mentally unwinding.
I know you don't come down to the track, but it's nice. It's great to not very often. No, but it's great to see the people in the back from the Harlow Running Club, and that people participating in running, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It will be nice when running, if and when running gets back to what it was sort of a couple of years ago.
Well, and things like park run, etc.
Yeah. Well, park run's supposed to be starting again in June. I know the junior one has started for a few weeks. I don't quite know how the adult one, as it were, is going to be organised.
But you mentioned you're still involved. Is it walking football?
I play walking football.
And how does that? Tell us a little bit about that as well.
Well, that's. I mean, as I say, in my misspent youth, I used to play football, and I hadn't. So I stopped at about the age of 30. Although I still supported football, I didn't actually play the occasional match for work and with my son when he got a bit older. But I hadn't played for, shall we say, 35 years. And then Harlow Council, just over 5 years ago, had the idea of starting a walking football session at Parringdon Sports, and they have. I can't remember how I got to hear about it. Anyway, I went along and I thought, I'll have a go at that. I quite fancied still playing football, so I went along to the first section where there were 5 of us on a sort of 5-a-side football pitch on AstroTurf, and so we, with the person who was running it, we for the first few weeks we played something like 3 a side, which was fairly tiring for most people, because most people were coming back to football not having done much exercise in the last few years. But I mean, since then it's grown. There's probably about 35, 40 members now.
But people are keen to get involved in walking football, or they're keen to get involved in running. Is your advice? What's your advice? Is it just get involved?
Yeah. I mean, anyone can run. The great thing about running is you can do it all the way through lockdown, because you're not relying on anybody else. I don't mind training by myself. I've done probably most of my years of training by myself. So you can go out and do it. It doesn't cost you anything. I mean, okay, you do need a pair of decent running shoes, but I mean, you can get away with a crummy pair of shorts or leggings, an old t-shirt. You don't need a fancy watch. You do not need a Garmin or Strava or all these other things. All you need is a pair of legs.